Every home in America has one of these. It's not a toolbox, it's a junk drawer. Inside this drawer lies chaos. Chaos and opportunity. Because today, I'm doing the unthinkable. I'm going to build a survival kit out of nothing but the items from this junk drawer. No fancy gear, no ultralight wizardry, no $300 knife forged by a bearded man named Bjorn. Nope, I'm gonna deal with whatever past me left in this drawer and promised future me that I'd deal with it later. Will it work? Will it fail? Will I accidentally weaponize a ball of zip ties? It's unclear, but I do know one thing. I'm gonna take whatever I build out of this mess into the actual woods and try to survive with it. And this might be the only thing between me and a cold night crying underneath a pine tree. Let's begin. And yes, whatever I find in here, I can use. And because I'm unreasonable, it all has to fit in this tuna can. Yep, those are the rules. I made them up. They're terrible. Let's go. I had to pass up some really useful items because of the space restriction, which was a huge bummer. But I did find a few gems that will help along the way. Look at that. It all fits. I mean, it barely fits, but it fits in the same way that I fit into my high school jeans. It takes some commitment, optimism, and a little prayer. All right, my junk drawer kit is ready. Let's head into the woods before I lose this thing. Okay, I'm out here with nothing but my junk drawer survival kit. We're gonna crack it open, see what's inside. Oh, and one other thing. It's gun deer season out here, so I have to stay safe. Okay, what do I have in my junk drawer survival kit? Let's open this thing up. First of all, on the outside, I've got a couple of rubber bands. I was able to scavenge a couple rubber bands from the drawer. Not sure what I will use them for, but I have them. And next, I have some Gorilla Tape on this tin right here. This is flammable. It's also extremely sticky and can be restuck to things. So that's what's nice about this, is it's creating a weather tight seal on this can right now. All right, so here's a look at the inside. First up, I have a bit of cordage in here. This is a micro cord, probably about 20 feet or so of that. So also in the cordage department, I have some of this red waxed line right here that might come in handy. I have some snare wire. This is some stainless steel snare wire. Might make up a snare, show you guys how to do that. And then this is a compressed towel. This can be soaked in water and then it turns into a towel, but it's also a good fire starter. I figured that might be good to extend to my tinder. 3 lifeboat matches here with a striker. So these are waterproof. This is kind of nice to have. I have a trusty Bic lighter. I wouldn't go anywhere without this, so this is definitely going to be in my kit. What else do I got? I got some mini utility blades right here. Mini utility blades. These are good for cutting, good for making like an improvised broadhead for an arrow. Got some dry cotton, maybe a little bit of fire tinder there. I've got some Aquatabs for water purification. I've got some X-Acto knife blades here that I can use to cut my cordage, maybe even make a little fuzz stick for tinder for a fire or something like that. What else do I have? Okay, so I also have a compass. Now this is a little button compass, not super useful, but maybe in a dire situation, this might come in handy, just to know your cardinal directions. And then not last but not least, I have this here. This is a guitar pick. This guitar pick is made of cellulose, so if you scrape this, it's a really good fire starter for like tinder. And last but not least is 2 oven bags. These oven bags are really good for just holding water. So I can put about a gallon of water in here and then sterilize it, drink it, and I'll have good water. And then I also have this tin, which in a pinch I could use as a tin to boil water in, although it has a liner in it, which is not really all that great to ingest. So you'd want to burn this out first, scrape it out, and then use it. You don't want to just use tin cans anymore because they have these liners in them, and it's not healthy to do that. All right, so with this kit, we have some priorities. We have shelter because I think it might actually rain. Then we need to get a fire going. Then we need to get some water. So shelter, fire, and water. And from there, I think we'll just kind of work on getting camp set up, make it more comfortable for us, maybe make a snare, maybe make a broadhead. We'll see. All right, let's go. Let's see what kind of shenanigans we can get ourselves into here. The first thing I'm gonna do is set up a shelter. I've got a bunch of debris behind me right here, and I'm gonna make like a lean-to shelter, use this cordage to kind of make a frame and then stack stuff around it. I've got a ton of leaf litter on the ground that I can use as insulation. So even though it'll get down to about 33 degrees tonight, I think maybe we can make something that's survivable. Most people build their shelters too big and not thick enough. They need to be small so it can contain the heat. The energy required to make a big shelter is a lot. So make your shelter as small as possible and make it very thick. Put a lot of insulation on it. Okay, so it is 49 degrees out here right now, and I'm getting a little bit warm. I've got a few layers on. So I'm gonna take one of my layers off because I don't want to be sweating, because tonight is supposed to get down to 33 and I don't want to freeze, get hypothermia because I've been sweating all day. Okay, so I want to show you something here. This is how much insulation you need. You need about 1 foot to 1.5 foot of insulation for a 40-degree night. I scraped a good 20 feet around my shelter to get all of the debris necessary to make it that thick. Now the trick is just patching all the holes where the light's coming through still, because you know that's where water's gonna come through also. So you just gotta patch those holes and then we'll move on to the next thing. Now, before nightfall, I'm gonna wanna pull in a lot more of the dry leaves into my shelter so I can lay on them. That's gonna give me some insulation from the ground. That is arguably more critical than what's overhead. Okay, so just had a deer hunter walk right through my camp. So I put the orange back on just to be safe. You know, you gotta be safe in these situations. This is a training exercise for me, but for them, it's hunting season. So I don't wanna end up, you know, gotta share the woods with the hunters today. But I think I wanna try to make an improvised knife because these scalpel blades that I'm working with are really tricky to handle. So I'd like to get a handle on one of them and just see if I can do that real quick. Okay, so this is kind of what I want. I wanted it to split a little bit so I could stuff the blade down in there and then put a frapping around it to hold it tight. And I have a handle for my scalpel blade. I can work a little bit more safely, easily, with something a little more dexterous like this. Okay, so there we go, just a little bit exposed. Now I can wrap this up and it'll hold it tight so I can do some cutting with it a little bit easier. Tie a clove hitch, stuff that right around the end of this stick. The finished product. Nice little blade I can work with. All right, let's get back to it. Take a look at this button compass and see what we can do with it. Yep, that's pretty much it. And the really scary thing about button compasses is you can get them to point just about anywhere you want them to. It's a better call to just get the Suunto, right? The moral of the story is always have a great method of navigation on you at all times, because if you have to put your life in the hands of a button compass, that's gonna suck. Next, I have some snare wire here. Now I can make a really easy little loop snare. This is actually stainless wire, which is really perfect for snare wire. So I just kind of like with some pressure, create a loop like that, and then wrap it back on itself like this. There we go. Now, if I bend this loop a little bit, it actually creates like a lock so that it doesn't want to come back undone again. I can tie many of these to a long stick and lean it up against a tree where I've seen squirrels and harvest squirrels. I can put this on a game trail where I know there to be rabbits and snare some rabbits. So this is a very common way to make a survival snare, and this is very effective. So really great idea to have this in your survival kits. Now it is illegal to snare animals in most cases, in most scenarios. So you really need to check out your local laws when you're doing this stuff. You can't just practice this and leave snares out and try to catch rabbits and game and stuff like that. Only in a dire emergency situation can you do that. So I'm actually not going to put this snare out today. But I just wanted to demonstrate that it is possible if you have some snare wire in your kit to do such a thing. All right, so we've got about 2 hours till sunset. I really should get my fire started now. We have a couple different methods here. We've got the Bic method. We have the lifeboat matches method, which is really, really great. And we've got some tinder. We've got some cotton, and we have this compressed towel if we want to use it. I think that we also have the means by which to make a little fuzz stick as well. So I think that to get our tinder to catch onto something bigger, we'll have to make a little fuzz stick. So let's see how that works with this little knife that I've made. This is not the best. It's moving around quite a bit, even though I've got it lashed in there really well, but it just takes too much force. So I'm gonna kind of put my thumb behind it here to help along, get some more curls built up on this stick. We're gonna try to use our tinder to catch on to this little fire stick that I've made here. We also have this tape that we use from the container as well, so we can use that to kind of like extend our tinder situation here. Just want to shred it into little strips like that. That helps a lot. Okay, so first of all, let's see if this this tinder will burn, catch fire and burn. Yep, sure does. That's why I love duct tape. Duct tape burns so good. This is actually Gorilla Tape. And Gorilla Tape is really good for this sort of thing. Now let's try the lifeboat matches with the cotton and the compressed towel. Let's see how this works. Not as good, right? The cotton burned for a second, but not for very long. I think the key is with this is you gotta open it up for it to burn properly. Yeah, that's a little better, isn't it? So as it turns out, this guitar pick is made of plastic, and non-flammable plastic at that. So no matter how much I try to light this on fire and make little tiny shavings of it and light it, it just won't light. So be careful if you're going to put guitar picks in there and think that you can make them into fire starters. It's only the cellulose ones that work. And I don't think this is a cellulose pick. This looks like it's made of plastic. So this was a huge fail. So of all the methods, a Bic lighter and a fuzz stick are going to work the best for you in a survival situation. So definitely always carry a Bic lighter in your kits as well. So that was a win. Okay, so we've got our shelter, we've got our fire. We are going to now do a little demonstration on the water. So I'm going to have to navigate over to that lake, get some water in these bags here, and I like to double these bags up because they're really thin and they are strong, but I like to just double them up because then I am kind of assured that I'll have water when I get back to camp. This is an amazing ultralight solution. It takes up very little space, has almost no weight to it, but is peace of mind that you have a water container with enough water to sterilize and get you through a day or two in a pinch. Aquatabs are awesome because you just put 1 or 2 of these in, shake it up really good, let it sit for about half an hour, and you're good to go. Taste is decent and the weight penalty is almost nothing. These things are very small. So I highly recommend having some of these in your kits. Okay, I've got my bags ready and I've got my Aquatabs ready. Let's go navigate to the pond and get some water. Now, ideally, we would pre-filter this through a cloth before we put the Aquatabs in it and then drink it, because there's a lot of like little particles and sediment and sticks and debris and stuff like that in there. Use the t-shirt that you're wearing or even your socks if you have to, but definitely pre-filter this before you put the Aquatabs in it. It's just gonna make it a lot more pleasant to drink. But that's why we have 2 bags, for durability, but also because you can take one bag and pour it through a sock or your t-shirt into the other bag to kind of pre-filter it, and then add the tabs. Okay, so we've got the water. Let's head back to camp. So it's pretty cool to see what you can do with just a little kit full of stuff in the woods, a junk drawer survival kit. Now, does this have everything I would have wanted in it? No, not in the slightest. Like, there's definitely some items in here that are just flat out useless, like the button compass, in my opinion, is useless. Now, there's definitely some items in here that I didn't use, didn't really find a use for them, like rubber bands, but I would have loved to have had 1 or 2 space blankets. Now, space blankets can make all the difference in the world when you're trying to survive out in the wilderness. If you're trying to survive a harsh night like tonight will be, having space blankets to wrap around yourself, to put underneath you, or even to reflect a fire onto you is absolutely huge for survival. So as you're doing this stuff, you know, that's something to think about. Having a survival kit with space blankets in it is awesome. I mean, it's really fun to make the Altoids kits and the tuna can kits like this, but at the end of the day, when you're in shoulder season or winter time, you need something a lot more beefy to even practice this out in the woods, let alone survive for real. Now let me address the obvious question. Am I gonna sleep in this thing tonight? And I've decided I am not going to do that. Here's why. There's a ton of hunters in these woods right now. It's gun deer season, and I'm not gonna stay out here and bother these guys as they're trying to get some deer and then potentially be at risk myself. Also, reason number 2 is it's gonna be pretty darn cold tonight. It's gonna be 33 degrees according to my Suunto watch, and that's gonna be pretty cold for what I'm wearing, for what I have with me. That's just too cold to be out here with nothing. When I'm practicing survival stuff like this, I want to bring backup gear with me, and I don't have any backup gear at all. So that's just one reason why I am not going to be staying in this tonight. If you do this kind of thing, I hope that you are smart and bring backup gear with you. Make sure you're dressed for the conditions, and don't do anything stupid, okay? The main purpose of this video was to show that yes, you can make a junk drawer survival kit, but maybe it's not the most effective thing out there, and that actually putting some thought into a kit is much better than trying to MacGyver something together. So that's the moral of the story of today's video. I hope you like it. Hope you found this useful, or at least entertaining. Let me know what you put in your survival kit. We'll see you later.